Hey, how's it going? Today I'm talking about strength training for injury-prone RunDisney runners. This is part two of a two-part series from a free training I gave guiding injury-prone RunDisney runners to what they should stop doing and what they should definitely be doing in order to get stronger. In this episode, you're going to learn exactly what you should be doing to hit the gas, make progress, and get stronger. If you haven't listened to part one of this episode yet, go back and listen to that one after you listen to this, because you'll hear and you'll learn exactly what to stop doing so that when you do all of these things right, you will make progress. This is Running to the Castle, a podcast for injury-prone RunDisney runners on a journey to running magical miles. Join me, Dr. Allie, as I share the secrets I've gathered as a runner, doctor of physical therapy, and coach. You'll learn the exact ways I get my clients to the castle strong without feeling broken or held together with KT tape as they cross the finish line. Next, we're going to get into what to do, but I want to make sure I give a second. Does anybody have a question about the things to stop doing? And take a little sip of my tea. Okay. So, at minimum, there are 10 strength exercises that every injury-prone runner should be doing. It's what I recommend they start with, and then you can add on from there. And I use the term strength exercises lightly. I'm not going to give you the exact exercises today because those 10 might not be the right ones for you and your injury. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to teach you how to choose your own exercises, how to come up with those exercises. Like I said, I have a standard 10 that I take my clients through, but I modify them because they do include things like squats or deadlifts. Not everybody can do those based on their injury. So then I modify them. But I modify them in the same way that I'm going to teach you today. Because really, you can do almost any exercise if you check all of these boxes that we're going to go through next. Not everybody works with me in Stronger, Faster, Finisher, so I can't modify them for you. So I want to make sure you know how to do it. So here is what you need to go through. Every injury-prone runner's strength program should include these. You are training specific muscles. I'm going to give you the list of the specific muscle groups. You need to go in all directions that those muscles and joints go in. You need to challenge your muscles with enough weight to make progress, but not so much that it causes injury. Remember that brake pedal thing about incorrect weight? You need to make sure you're doing enough weight, not too heavy, not too light. You need the Goldilocks situation. You need to do it often enough. That's your frequency, how often and how much. So frequency and duration. And you need to include single leg exercise. This is the biggest thing that separates a runner-specific program from another one. When you run, you are always on one leg at a time. That is the literal definition and delineation between running and walking. When you walk, at one point in the gait cycle, both legs are on the ground at the same time. When you run, both legs are never touching the ground at the same time. If you've ever seen speed walkers, one of the things to make sure that they are following their rules is they have to have one point where both legs are on the ground at the same time, or they get disqualified. So that's why single leg exercises are so important when you're a runner, because you are on one leg at a time at various points when you're running. When you have all 5 of these dialed in, you get stronger without getting hurt. So how do you find out what to do? You can Google it. You can go to ChatGPT. You can go to Facebook. And I did that because I wanted to see what would happen. When I went to Google, Google said, let's do these 5 exercises from this personal trainer: squats, lunges, one-legged deadlifts, push-ups, and planks. What do we think about these? Are they good?
Seems like a good list. Those sound like good exercises. One-legged deadlift. It includes single leg. On her website, she even gives ways to advance them, make them harder. But I also went to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said glute bridges, Romanian deadlift, step through lunges, wall sit with a glute focus, and seated leg lifts. These are very different exercises, with the exception of one-legged deadlift. That's the same as a Romanian deadlift. So which list should runners do? And then I went to Facebook, and I got so many. I got build up quad strength. So that's not an exercise. Solid core class, knee extension machine, isometric quad, side plank leg lifts, straight leg raises, bridges. And all of that is well and good. But looking at these, some of these are really hard and some are really easy. Side plank with leg lifts, holy cow, that would kill my shoulders before I even could work on my core and my leg strength. Those are really hard for me. They might not be hard for you. Isometric quad exercises, those are definitely really easy. If you're standing or sitting there, make your leg go out straight and then just tighten your quad so that your kneecap moves. Make your leg go straighter. That's an isometric quad exercise. Do we think that those exercises are what we need to make sure that we get stronger, build muscles, and prevent injury? Maybe, but in what order do we do them? Do we go from squats and then the next day do isometric quad exercises or the knee extension machine? What if we don't have access to a knee extension machine? So that's where this information comes in. And then how much and how often? Like how often and how many? So this is really hard to read, but in Facebook, they say 4 times a week, 2 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week, 3 to 6 times a week. And then ChatGPT says 2 to 3 times a week. But really, it depends. So ACSM guidelines, Academy of College of Sports Medicine, says 80 to 90 minutes a week. That's how much you should aim for. That's the end goal, not the starting point. 80 to 90 minutes. I don't like strength training. Full disclosure, full transparency, it's not my favorite. If I had my way, I would run, walk, stretch, and take a hot Epsom salt bath. That's it. That would be my routine. But I know strength exercises are important. They're what's going to give me longevity to keep me running for decades and prevent me from getting injured. Okay. I aim for 3 days a week, 30 minutes at a time. That would hit my 90 minutes goal. But I settle for 15 minutes. So I set a 15-minute timer for my strength workouts. If I still don't want to do it after 15 minutes of giving it a good college try, I'm done. But if I want to keep going, I do. So some days I do 15 minutes. Some days I do 23 minutes. Some days I do 45 minutes. It is a rarity if I do an hour. But I give myself that 15-minute goal. Once that's done, I can stop. And I do it 3 days a week. I recommend structuring your training schedule so that you are strength training on days that you are doing short runs or cross training. The reason I recommend this is you need rest days, not complete rest days where you are just lying like a slug on the couch. Okay. You're still doing your normal activity. You're walking your dog. You're taking your dog on a safari. If you listen to my podcast, Running to the Castle, you hear me talk about a safari. Levi's walk time is Levi's walk time, and we smell every single blade of grass. Okay. You can still do those things, but you want to keep moving your body and keep moving your muscles, but not overdo it, not make them even more tired. You want to just keep them loose and limber on those rest days. So I do my long run on either Sunday or Monday, depending on the week. Then depending if I did a long run on Sunday, I will do a light cross training day on Monday. I will do a speed work day on Tuesday, cross training day on Wednesday, rest day on Thursday, speed work on Friday, and rest day on Saturday. When I do speed work or cross training, that's when I also do my strength training. If you're in the build phase, if you can, now I know not everybody can do this, if you can strength train before you run or cross train, that could be better. But something is better than nothing. So if you find yourself that you won't even do the strength training if you do it before, do it after. Like me not liking strength training, I do my strength training after, because if I do it before, I am not going to do it. I'm going to skip it. So once I've already done my cross training or my speed workout, I'm already sweaty Betty. So I just go straight into my strength training before I stretch. Okay. If you want, the reason for that is if you're trying to decide where to put your energy, when you're in the build phase, your strength training is your priority. That's where you want to put the majority of your energy. And then you can take it easy on the other part of the workout, the cross training or the speed work. But if you're also working on speed and that is, something that you really want, you may be switching it. So that's not like a direct answer. You have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. And if you know me, there's no have to. I make recommendations. I back up my recommendations with my professional experience on why I recommend that. Take it with a grain of salt. Then how many sets and reps? So you are going to want light, medium, and heavy weight workout days. You aren't going to always use all three. You will choose which one you're doing based on your running schedule and how you're feeling. We will talk about how to choose them in a few minutes, but when you have a light day, you'll do more repetitions. Think 10 to 15 reps, 2 to 3 sets. It's like rehab strength exercises, right? You've been to physical therapy and everything's 3 sets of 10, right? It's lightweight, high repetition. You're almost just going through the motion to bring blood flow to the area, to practice the movements so that your body has muscle memory on what to do. But also, if you're doing a light day after a really big workout, let's say on my long run, it was, my peak long run, training for a half marathon, peak long run distance is 10 miles. I may choose to do a light strength day the next day because my legs are still really tired from the day before. But I want to stay consistent. And because my legs are already tired, when I do a light day, it does make them stronger. Medium days, you can do 8 reps, about 8 repetitions, maybe 8 to 10 for 2 sets. Heavy days, you do 5 repetitions for 2 sets. I've been playing around with this with my training, and I actually haven't even introduced it to any of my clients yet because I make sure that I know how it's going to feel so that I can make a good recommendation. If I don't do it, if I can't or aren't going to do it, I'm not recommending it for a client. But what I'm trying is on my heavy weight days, I'm doing 5 repetitions of one level of heavy weight. So as an example, what did I do the other day? I did bicep curls and I did 5 repetitions with 15 pounds. And then I picked up the next heaviest weight, 17 and a half for dumbbells. And I aimed to do 5 more. I could only do 3. And then I finished the set of 5 with that 15 pounder. So I did 5 with 15 pounds. I did 3 with 17 and a half pounds, but I couldn't go anymore. I literally couldn't lift up for that 4th rep. And then I did the last 2 repetitions with 15 pounds. And then I needed like 3-minute rest break because it was so challenging. So that's how I typically recommend how many sets and repetitions. But each person is a little bit different. So depending on how irritated and how aggravated your injury is, you may be starting off doing more light days, high repetition, low weight for the 10 to 15 repetitions, 2 to 3 sets. And then as you progress and get better, you're doing heavier and heavy weight, fewer and fewer reps. The heavier the weight, the fewer repetitions you need to make progress. Okay? And I practice all of these myself. Just like I said, I don't even introduce it until I have tried it. And after years of doing this myself and for other people, here's a handful of comments. Sarah started a program I ran last year, Finish Line Fitness. She did all of the exercises 3 days a week from May until Wine and Dine. She finished Wine and Dine with no pain and was stronger and faster. Learning how to train smarter, not harder. So you don't, like I just said, you don't have to do 30 repetitions with this super heavy weight. You can do 5 repetitions. Maybe you do 2 sets of 5. Maybe you back down the weight just a smidge so you can finish those 5. Okay, finishing dopey with faster finisher times, training smarter, not harder. Healing shin splints, having form checks with the Zoom calls. So this is just showing you these things work. So now going into specific muscles, what muscles are we talking about? We're talking about our glutes. These are our butt muscles. Typically, we think of glute max, which is the big one that everybody can see. Glute medius and glute minimus, which you can't even see because glute minimus hides. You want to hit your glutes. You want to hit your quads. That's the front of your thigh. You want to hit your hamstrings. That's the back of your thigh. You want to hit your calf muscles. That's your lower leg, the back of your lower leg, and your core. Now, I couldn't find a good image depicting your actual core muscles. Your 6-pack ab muscles, these are technically not core muscles. If you have a 6-pack, does not necessarily mean you have a strong core. We're talking about things that act as an internal girdle for your body. So your obliques, your transverse abdominis, which we cannot see in this image, but it goes across from hip bone to hip bone. So if you're forming a workout, you need to make sure you're hitting all 5 sets of these muscles. This is what gets your bare minimum 10 strength exercises. But how do we actually do them? That's where directions come in. So remember, we talked about brake pedal number 1, strengthening, and we talked about strengthening in the direction that we go. Well, we go forward most of the time, and we forget the other directions except for very specific situations. When was the last time anybody went sideways? Right? We don't do it very often. The most common reason we go sideways is moving up and down the aisle in a movie theater. Now, I'm talking about like during our regular everyday motion. I'm not talking about with specific exercises. Because when we go in the same direction all of the time, we are making those muscles stronger. And the other ones that aren't getting used as often, they do get weaker. So there are 3 directions, technically 5, that we don't go very often that we need to make sure we're including in our workouts. So that's backward, right rotation, left rotation, right sideways, and left sideways. So to have a well-rounded routine, we're going to go in all of these directions for the muscle groups. Now, of course, you can't go all of the directions for some of the muscle groups. So if you don't know what direction the muscle group goes in, look at your body. Go in all of the directions that that joint goes in. So as an example, because you can't see my legs right now, I'm going to use my elbow. Okay. So you want to make a muscle in all of the directions that your elbow goes. Our elbows bend and our elbows straighten. So we want to build muscle in this example. If we were using our arm as an example, our biceps bending the arm and our triceps straighten the arm. That's how I know I'm hitting all of the directions. The elbow doesn't rotate. If I'm rotating, I'm either rotating at my forearm and wrist or I'm rotating at my shoulder. My elbow does not go sideways. It only goes bend and straighten. Same thing at our knee. Our knee is the same as our elbow. It bends and it straightens. So you want to find exercises that bend the knee, that's using the hamstrings, and that straighten the knee, that's using the quad muscles. Okay, so if you are wondering what exercises should I do, look at the body part you're trying to exercise. What directions does that body part go? If it's your hip, it goes forward, backward, out to the right side, out across the middle to the left side. If we're talking about our right leg, it rotates out and it rotates in. That's 6 directions that your hip goes. To target all aspects of your glutes, you need to incorporate the different directions. So that's why monster walks, those sideways lateral walks, are so popular for glute exercises, because it really works the glute med to get that lateral stability that we don't get except when we're walking up and down the movie aisle. Questions about the directions? My voice is going to start getting hoarse here, so I'm going to pour a little bit more tea. Okay, next one. How much weight? So how do you know how much is enough? You must balance lifting heavy enough to make progress without causing injury or aggravating an injury. How do you do it? You test it. So here's a video. I did body weight calf raise. I took a light weight for a calf raise, a heavier weight for a calf raise, and an even heavier weight. My favorite way to test it for runners who are using weights, this is not how I test it. I'm just giving a warning. This is not how I test it if you're just doing body weight exercise. If you're just coming off of a really bad injury, haven't been allowed to run, haven't been allowed to strength train, this next test, I don't recommend. I recommend a different test, but this is one that I recommend for somebody who's using weights or machines. So dumbbells, barbells, leg press machine, things like that. It's called the 1RM. It stands for 1 rep max. This is the amount of weight you need to complete only 1 repetition. A single repetition. If you can do 2 repetitions, it's too light. If you can do 0 repetitions, it's too heavy. Okay? Full testing of this takes at least an hour, sometimes more. If you're using really heavy weights, it may actually take 4 or 5 days to get through the full test. But let's do an example right now. If you have weights where you are right now, you can practice this. So let's do a single calf raise. So remember, I talked about single leg exercises, calf muscles. Here is hitting those 2 marks. Single leg calf raise. First, you do it with absolutely no weight. And we're doing this exercise with a calf raise. You take this same test and you do it for all of your exercises. So you first do it with absolutely no weight. You need to make sure that you can do in proper form with no weight and no pain. Okay, so you need to make sure you can do the exercise when you have no weight and do it properly with no pain. If you cannot, this test is not for you. You need the other test that I was mentioning before. But I do believe I chose this test on here because I do believe that everybody here is using some kind of weight. If I'm incorrect in that, you can email me after and I can tell you what other exercise to do, whatever their test to do. You want to reflect on how much weight you've used for this exercise in the past. You may have to guess. I know I said don't guess for your weight. That was when you're doing it for exercise. When you're testing it, you may have to guess because we need to figure out how much weight to even pick up to do the exercise. So you're going to guess that, and then you're going to decrease the weight a little bit. You're going to do a warm-up of 5 to 10 reps with about half the weight that you think will be your 1 RM. So if you think your 1 RM will be 50 pounds, you hold 25 pounds for your 5 to 10 reps warm-up. Then you rest. You need to rest a couple of minutes because you need to make sure that your muscles have had about a 3-minute rest to perform optimally for the 1 rep max test. So you're going to pick up your 1 rep max weight. In this example, we said 50 pounds, and then you perform the repetitions. For a calf raise, you need to make sure that you can go full height on your toes. If you only go halfway, it does not count. That is not full proper form. So you'll see in the video, I'm balancing just very lightly touching the wall because sometimes when we do this exercise, we lose our balance. This is not a balance test. So you can lightly hold down, touch for balance to be able to go up and down. But you're not pushing down and you're not leaning forward. You see in this video, I'm going straight up and down. Okay? You'll pick up your 1 rep max test weight and you'll perform the reps. If you can do more than 1 repetition, just stop at 2 reps. Don't do more, but if you can do 2 reps, it's too light. Repeat with a heavier weight. So you'll rest 3 minutes, pick up a heavier weight, try it again. If you can't even do 1, if you can only do 0, repeat with a lighter weight. Did anybody try it just now? On your to-do list. Great. Perfect. Does it make sense how to do it? Yes. Okay. So once you have this information, I'm getting some thumbs up. Perfect. What do these results tell you? Are you supposed to take this 1 rep max and do this weight every single workout so you get stronger? No. These results tell you the heaviest you can lift. Once you have that number, you make light, medium, and heavy workout days and integrate them into your workouts with your easy, moderate, and fast running days. So you get stronger without being sore for days and without it interrupting your running schedule. Okay? So typically, and I work with my clients on this because sometimes it's not exact, right? Sometimes we have to figure out how much is actually the right amount. But typically, I'd say 90% of the clients I work with, we make a light day 25% of the 1 RM. make a medium day 50% of the 1 RM, and the heavy day 75% of the 1 RM. Okay, so if we did 50 pounds as the 1 RM, let's do that math right now. 50 times 25%, that would be 12.5 pounds as a light day. 50%. So a medium day is 25 pounds. And 37.5 pounds is the heavy day. Now, with dumbbells, sometimes you don't have that half pound. It doesn't go 37.5. So you have to go to the closest one to it. It may be the next one. It may be 40 pounds or it may be 35 pounds, depending on how much you can actually do. Because you do want to be able to do 3 to 5 reps of them. Okay. But let's say you chose 40 pounds for that calf raise, but you can only do 2 repetitions. It needs to be able to be 3 to 5 repetitions. So that's what I was explaining earlier, where I'm trying something where I do 2 levels of heavy. So if this were my example, maybe I would choose 35 pounds and I would choose 40 pounds. So I do 5 reps at 35 pounds. And then I aim for 5 reps for 40 pounds. But let's say I could only do 2. Then I finish off the round with the 35 pounds again. And that's how you take it to make your light, medium, and heavy days. And then you organize your workouts throughout the week. So you're doing your strength workouts on your speed work days and your cross training days. I have a select few people that do it on their long run, and you can do that during the build phase. But I also find that once you get into dopey training, doing those long runs, doing 15, 16, 18-mile runs, and then doing strength workouts, it doesn't end up working. And I know if you are like me, a recovering type A personality, you like your consistency. So you may just want to start with the days and the weeks that you like to and will keep working out and doing those same workouts. But if you absolutely want to, you can do your strength workouts on long run days and make your hard days hard so that your easy days can be easy. But what I typically do is, so if my long run is on Sunday and I'm doing other workouts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Thursday and Saturday are rest days. And I will actually, now that I've said that out loud, I've really been switching and doing my long run Monday. So long run is Monday. So that means Tuesday, Wednesday, speed and cross training, rest day Thursday, speed on Saturday, and cross training on Friday. I don't think I missed anything. And then rest would be Sunday. I do like to have rest days pretty even along the workout week. But so I could make it so that my easy day is the day after my long run, if my legs feel like jello. But then Wednesday and Friday, I've been doing heavy days on those because I have rest days in between, or I have another, like a cross training day. So that's how I like to schedule it right now. You want to schedule your strength workouts on running days and on cross training days so that you can give yourself rest on those rest days. Okay. So how do you know if what you're doing is too much? If you're doing too much, you will be sore for more than 2 days. You will have pain instead of soreness. We all know the difference between pain and soreness, right? Soreness is okay. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But pain is not. Pain is your body's way of saying, not this, not right now. Sharp, shooty pain is no good. It's too much if you can't do your normal activities. If you are down for the count for the rest of the day, that is no good. If you get pain that's getting worse, If you have difficulty sleeping, if you have a new or an aggravated injury, if you're exhausted but you can't sleep, it's too much. Signs what you're doing is not enough. If you can do the exercise all day long, if you're like, oh, this is easy breezy, I could lift this weight, no problem. Not enough. If you can focus on something else during the exercise, if you are working out right now and you have absorbed every single thing I said, your strength workout is not heavy enough. You should have to, if somebody's talking to you, you should have to be like, wait, hold on just a second. Can you say that again? Wait, hold on. Let me wait until I have a rest break. Okay, you should have to rewind if you're watching a TV show and you're like, oh, wait, what did they just say? Because you're not really paying attention. Now, I should give the caveat of not every strength workout will be like that, because remember, we're doing light, medium, and heavy days. But if you are thinking that you're doing a heavy day and you can focus on something else, it's not heavy enough. If all your reps feel the same, if all repetitions feel the same, if your last couple aren't feeling like, oof, I need to be done with this really soon. Talk about it with one client of mine, 2 left in the tank. It should feel like you only have 1 or 2 repetitions left in you. If you feel like you can keep going, if it's supposed to be a 5-rep day because it's a heavy weight and you can do 10 or 15, too light. If you're not getting stronger in 8 to 12 weeks, remember I said it takes muscles 8 to 12 weeks to get stronger. I do recommend testing. I do this with strength testing. I do this with pace testing frequently, not too frequently, but anywhere between 6 and 12 weeks, we're testing something again. So pacing in the build phase, I recommend about 6 weeks. Strength training in the build phase, 6 to 8 weeks. And the reason for that is you want to make sure that you're constantly challenging your body. And you can either redo the 1-rep max test, or depending on how you have organized your workouts, like if you're doing the 5 reps with the heavyweight 1 and heavyweight 2, like I mentioned, I'm doing bicep curls, I'm doing 15 pounds for 5 reps, and then I'm doing 17.5 pounds for 3 reps. And then I'm doing the last 2 reps with 15 pounds. Well, if I get to the point where I can do more than 5 reps of my 17.5, next week, I'm doing 5 reps of 17.5, and I'm doing 5 reps of the next weight is probably 20 pounds. And that is how I'm able to test if I'm getting stronger, because now I'm using heavier weight. So I didn't need to go through and actually redo the actual test. I can just look down at my paper based on how I've been doing. If I've been adding some weight after 2 to 3 weeks, add some weight. Well, now I'm stronger. But if after 12 weeks, you still can't do 15 pounds, you still can't do the 17.5 pounds for the 5 reps, you're still finishing it off with the other one, you're not getting stronger. Something needs to change. Not even mild soreness. You should have some soreness. Soreness is okay. You may have delayed onset muscle soreness where it doesn't come on for 36 to 48 hours, but you're not sore for days on end. You should feel some amount of soreness, but it should go away either with time or with those pain relieving techniques I was talking about: ice, heat, hot Epsom salt bath, massage, foam rolling, TENS, massage gun. Those work for pain from injury. They also work for soreness. And so you'll do this test, the 1RM test, for all exercises in the beginning, following the standards for the muscles and directions that we talked about. And then you figure out your light, medium, and heavy weight so that you know what you're doing. So you see, there's a process to this. There are three main elements to it. You want to eliminate as much guessing as possible. You do that by knowing which muscles to exercise, your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, and your core, which directions to go, forward, backward, sideways, sideways, rotation, rotation, based on what joint you're working on. And you need to find workouts you like that challenge your body without aggravating or causing a new injury. And then find the workouts you like that incorporate all of that so you can stay consistent, not get injured. Incorporate them into a cohesive program so you don't overtrain, giving you those rest days that we talked about, strength training on days where you're doing speed work and cross training, doing the workouts in a schedule that works for your life and with your running schedule. Don't you think that if you had all of that dialed in, you could train for and finish your race without getting injured? Getting some thumbs up, more thumbs up, excellent. So remember, all of this is happening because you need to go through each phase. You can have all of this dialed in. You can train for and finish your race without getting injured. Don't skip the build phase. Don't go from rest and recovery straight into training. Work on that strength now so that you can stop getting injured and you can finish your race. Now, I know because I've talked with so many injury-prone runners that whether you work with me or you decide to take this information and form your own program, there are three things that will get in your way. Being inconsistent with your workouts, flare-ups happen, life gets lifey. Have a plan to come back from that time off and know that every little bit counts. It's not all or nothing. I don't like strength training. Even though I know I need to do 90 minutes a week, sometimes I get 15 minutes 3 days a week. Something is better than nothing. I will stay consistent by doing it that way. Or maybe I do 15 minutes 5 days a week, still giving myself those 2 rest days to make it so that I have closer to that 90 minutes. But I'm not going to get down on myself and throw in the towel. Well, I missed last week. No. Have a plan. Come back from time off. Pre-plan if you know there are certain days coming up, vacation weeks, school breaks, whatever it is, have a plan for what you're doing during those weeks for your workouts. Having an incomplete workout. If you're skipping half the workout because it's not one that hits all of the muscle groups, all of the directions, or you don't like it or it aggravates your injury, you'll end up wasting so much time finding one that checks all of the boxes. And then balancing the strength and running combo. Be cautious of trial and error of finding the right balance with your running, your cross training, and your rest days in there. Find something that works. It may not always be perfect, though. Balance it the best you can. Because as we just talked about, you need to stay consistent, have the full, well-rounded workout, and balance it out with your running schedule so you can get stronger and stop getting injured. And that's the things that we do in Stronger, Faster, Finisher. We do our testing, programming, scheduling. Test your strengths, test your speed and your distance. We talked exclusively about testing strength today. You also do that with your speed and your distance. You find out exactly how heavy you're lifting, how fast you're running, how far you're running. And fast, it's not just stay in zone 2 for your long run. It's specific paces down to the seconds, just like we did down to the half pound for the strength exercises. Dial it in, test it for everything. Programming. You can have specific programs for anybody who wants to join Stronger, Faster, Finisher. It's in an app now. You just pull up your app. There's your day's workout. I used to send them only in email and Excel. haven't found a great app now. Pull it up, mark it off, done, done, done. Videos of what to do. And then scheduling, balance it out with life, getting lifey, making sure you're balancing your strength and your running. We figure out how to structure your weekly workouts, which days you run long, run fast, strength train light, medium, heavy, everything you're doing in a week, and manage it based on your schedule. You'll look ahead, see if there are specific weeks, like I just talked about, where you can plan that life is going to get lifey. Okay? Have specific deload weeks in there so that you can adjust, make sure you're not getting injured, acclimate to the miles and the strength. And then make sure that you are doing something for your pain management. Make sure you are stretching the right amount. We don't want excessive stretching for those tendon and fascia injuries. And make sure you're fueling enough so that you can heal your injuries. Okay? Who wants to see this in action? Who has questions? I'm going to pull up my phone here from questions I got ahead of time. So while you might be typing out a question, here's one I got. Would love to hear the best way to build muscles in legs, glutes, and balancing whole body strength and running plan with Dopey without overdoing it. So for this, I recommend doing your strength on the same days that you're doing speed and cross training. And it doesn't have to be a go all in 60 to 90 minutes. If you're doing a speed workout, so for speed workouts with Dopey, I recommend 30 to 45 minutes. And so you also need stretching in there. So it may be a 90-minute workout day on those days. So you can do your speed workout for 45 minutes, and that's a 10-minute warm-up, 25 minutes of speed, 10-minute cool down, and then go right into your strength training and then end with 10 minutes of stretching. Do that 3 days a week. Give yourself a few other days that are less, so cross training can be 30 to 45 minutes as well. Is there specific time to think about a cut or calorie deficit in the program? Small cut, that is. So I will be perfectly honest with you. I don't know much or anything about cutting calories. I personally have never been significantly overweight. There was a time in college, freshman 15 hit me. It actually wasn't from freshman 15. I was put on a medication for headaches. It made me gain 20 pounds. And then I came off of it and I lost 10, but then lost another 10 running. So I'm not great with that. So I'm going to say no, I don't do that. Instead, what I recommend for fueling is figuring out how many calories you need. And there are equations and calculators online that for my clients, we figure that out. And then I figure out based on that how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat. Typically, somebody who is eating more protein does end up feeling fuller and more satiated, not looking for, sweet snacks and snacking all of the time. But I don't do calorie deficits. It's really hard to heal injury if you're not eating enough. So with that, I don't recommend it. Is stronger, faster finisher different than one-on-one coaching? Yes, it is. It's a great question, Lauren. It's actually a great progression from one-on-one coaching. And to continue to maintain and make progress at less of a time commitment. There is an option if somebody wants to add on one-on-one sessions if they really need something dialed in. But stronger, faster finisher, I do in 3-month increments typically. So build phase would be 3 months. So this next round starts March 23rd and goes until the beginning of June, which lines up for most people who are doing dopey. Lauren, I know you're not doing dopey, but for your marathon, we've talked about that timeline for it. And to continue to make progress without the time commitment and frankly, the price commitment that one-on-one coaching with me is, which is about $1,500 for 3 months. Valerie, thank you. Definitely packed on a few extra LBs after Princess looking to shed a few. Thank you for your answer. You're welcome. And, you know, that is very common, especially right after a race. Some LBs, I'm not saying this is your case, but, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Carb loading and how much water you are or are not drinking actually adds on a couple of pounds for race day. So I did a podcast episode last year, Fueling, with a registered dietitian, Stephanie Nadchek, and she talked about when you carb load, you're storing the glycogen in your muscles. And when our body stores glycogen, it stores water weight with it. So a lot of people hit the start line feeling really heavy, bloated almost, but not necessarily in the gut, like in the legs, because of how much glycogen and water weight they're holding there. And then as you run, it gets better. And then the body can kind of fluctuate with it the next, I'd say, week or two. So in addition to any weight gained from eating in the park, because, you know, there's churros, there's Mickeys, there's waffles, all sorts of fun stuff, which I highly recommend everybody enjoy every chance they can. These are also other things that can factor into it. Do we have any other questions? I'll look to see what other questions came in email ahead of time too. Okay, so somebody had emailed me and said, my biggest area of focus for strength building is legs. To go the distance, to do the miles, they need to be strong. So how do you balance leg days with workouts? So balancing the workout seems to be a very popular thing. So definitely strength training on days that you're doing those shorter, faster runs, the speed workouts, and cross training. And for the strength focus, we talked all legs today. So making sure you're finding your 1 rep max, your light, medium, and heavy days for that one. Would the program work for princess to dopey transition? I want to keep a good base running, but also build correctly and heal. So this past princess to dopey transition, yes, because you want this time frame to build. So keep a good base. So in stronger, faster finisher, what I do is keeping a good base. We have live coaching calls, and so we go over how to modify the base training that I recommend for mileage. So as an example, I have somebody who did dopey this year, worked with me one-on-one, did dopey, is continuing to work with me one-on-one, and is going to do the marathon next year. She's going to transition into stronger, faster finisher and wants to run a 10-miler to see if she can get a proof of time. We scheduled it so that her 10-miler proof of time is the very tail end of stronger, faster finisher. And we're going to go over exactly what her base miles look like for that proof of time, as opposed to just getting base mileage up to the standard 3.1 miles that my dopey training plan starts. So you can go up and down, and it can be whatever your base mile. Well, you just ran princess, so half marathon was the most. So we could make it so that your base miles fluctuate between 3, 4, 6 miles, 2, 4, 5 miles, and go up and down. So you still maintain a really good base, higher than what the traditional starting point is, but also making it easy peasy on the legs so that you can work on the strength now. Does that make sense? Training for chills and thrills, but toying with the idea for registering for the full. Great. Switch over and follow a full marathon plan if I get in, or keep following chills and thrills plan. I recommend switching to a full, and let me see. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. Because I can't remember what training plans I have already put out. Valerie, have you downloaded my free training plans on my website? You have. Okay. So I know for a fact I put out Wine and Dine half marathon to full marathon. I don't think I've done Chills and Thrills yet, but I do recommend when you're doing multi-race weekends that you choose your longest race, train for that, but be mindful of the taper for the other one. So taper on my training plans is 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the race distance you're running. So let's say on Tuesday you get in for the marathon, and you have plenty of time to think about this, right? Because marathon registration is this upcoming Tuesday. Chills and Thrills, you're already registered for it. So if you get into the marathon on Tuesday, Chills and Thrills training starts May 4th for my training plan. So you still have time to, build and figure things out in the beginning. And then marathon training will start 2 weeks after 4th of July. So mid-July, marathon training will start. And so you'll start off doing Chills and Thrills in May, and then you'll keep in mind the mileage. This is getting confusing. I'm going to put out the Chills and Thrills to marathon training plan. Probably, how about next week? I think I have it somewhere. I just need to organize it. I can put it up there. Follow that one if you get into marathon. That's the shorter version. You're not the first person to ask me for that. It will say, it actually won't be Chills and Thrills. It'll probably be the half marathon. But know that when you're training for Chills and Thrills, it alternates weekends, cross training or a second long run so that you get that simulation. So the Chills and Thrills, you'll keep the mileage the same and just alternate cross training versus long run. That will be like the only difference. But then no matter what you did, the marathon portion afterward would be the same. So I don't have one that is dopey, including Wine and Dine, mainly because people who have asked for a combo, it was Wine and Dine half to marathon, not dopey. I could probably mesh the two. The biggest thing with these training plans that I've kind of combined and meshed together is the taper and then the post-race weeks. But yeah, I could figure that out. I'll probably get that. You may still have your old one. Becky, I have updated training plans since that one. They are better. I am always bettering them. So don't use an old training plan because I have learned things along the way. And as I learn things, I share them. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. What other questions? I hope to see you in Stronger, Faster, Finisher. Get those legs stronger, 3 months, and get you started on the right foot to train for Wine and Dine, train for Dopey, get you across that finish line and join the parks after. Well, I will see you in Stronger, Faster, Finisher. Hope you sign up.
For the runners that want to finish their next Run Disney race stronger and faster so you stop getting injured, you beat the balloon ladies, and you cross the finish line, I invite you to check out my newest program, Stronger, Faster, Finisher. Get the workouts you need to build speed, stamina, and strength. If that sounds like something you're looking for your next race, visit the link in the show notes to learn more. As always, thanks so much for listening. That's all for now. Talk to you soon.